Welcome to Broken Bayonet's channel, where imagination was a weapon and every detail was a deliberate lie. You can almost feel it, can't you? The damp autumn air of 1944, heavy with the scent of wet leaves and distant cordite. An artist's charcoal-stained finger traces the outline of a Sherman tank on a sketch pad, while across the muddy field, the hiss of an air compressor gives birth to that very same tank, its rubber skin slowly taking the shape of a 30-ton war machine. This wasn't a war of brute force alone. It was a war of perception, a high-stakes, theatrical production where the audience, the German Wehrmacht, had to believe every line, every prop, every sound effect. You ever wonder if the past is truly past, or if its echoes of illusion and reality still shape the world we see today? So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you find the shared content useful to you. Invite viewers to share which ancient ruin they dream of visiting and what historical topic fascinates them most. Now, let's journey back in time and walk in the footsteps of legends. The year is drawing to a close, and the initial euphoria of the Normandy landings has faded, replaced by the grim reality of a long, grinding war. You are in France, but this is not the liberated Paris of newsreels, with cheering crowds and kisses from grateful citizens. This is the Lorraine region, a place of perpetual dampness where the sky is a sheet of leaden gray and the mud clings to your boots with a greedy, sucking pull. Autumn has bled the color from the landscape, leaving a palette of browns and grays that perfectly matches the mood of the men of the U.S. Third Army. They and you are stuck, utterly and miserably stuck, and the reason has a name: Metz. It's less a city and more a fortress, a concrete beast that has guarded the Moselle River Valley for centuries. Romans, Gauls, Germans, French, they have all fought and died over this strategic ground. Now, it's your turn. The Germans have turned Metz into a hornet's nest of interlocking forts, pillboxes, and artillery positions. Its outer defenses are a dragon's jaw of concrete and steel, designed by engineers who knew that the best defense is one that breaks not just bodies, but morale. And it is working. The commander of the Third Army, a man whose name is already a legend, whispered with both reverence and fear, General George S. Patton, Jr., is at a standstill. His legendary blitzkrieg, the lightning-fast armored thrust that tore across France, has bogged down into a brutal, bloody slog. His tanks are mired in mud, his supply lines are stretched to their breaking point, and his infantry are being chewed to pieces in frontal assaults against fortifications they can barely see. Patton is a man of motion, of relentless forward momentum. This stalemate is psychological poison to him. He needs a breakthrough, he needs an advantage, he needs a miracle, he needs you. But you are not a miracle worker, or at least not in the traditional sense. You are a member of the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, a unit so secret that its very existence is a classified document. To the rest of the army, you are a phantom, a logistical oddity. They see your strange insignias and your even stranger equipment, and they scratch their heads. You don't carry the heavy machine guns of an infantry company or the massive howitzers of an artillery battalion. Your primary weapon is deception. Your ammunition is imagination. The men in your unit are a peculiar collection, hand-picked from the most unlikely corners of American society. You might have been an illustrator for a New York advertising agency, a set designer for Broadway productions, an architect from Philadelphia, or a sound engineer from a Hollywood studio. This is one of the war's most fascinating, lesser-known facts.
Let's go!
The average IQ in the Ghost Army was 119, a full 10 points higher than the rest of the armed forces. You were recruited not for your brawn, but for your brain. Your unit is, in essence, a traveling roadshow of war. You have three main acts. The first is visual. The 603rd Camouflage Engineers, your parent unit. These are the painters and designers, the masters of illusion, who can create a phantom armored division overnight using little more than inflatable rubber, plywood, and a deep understanding of perspective. You can make a grassy field look like a bustling motor pool, or a quiet country road appear to be the staging area for a massive offensive. It's a surreal business, pumping air into a Sherman tank as if it were a child's pool toy, then meticulously dirtying it up to look battle-worn. A smile might cross your face as you hear two of your comrades arguing, not about tactics, but about whether the undertones on a fake tank tread are authentic enough for the local soil. The second act is sonic. The signal company, Special, wields the power of sound. They have a library of recordings made at Fort Knox, the clatter and squeal of tank treads, the rumble of truck engines, the shouts of men, the clanking of engineering crews. These sounds are played through massive speakers mounted on half-tracks, capable of projecting the auditory illusion of an entire division on the move for up to 15 miles. Not exactly a deep fake video, but the Ghost Army's radio mimicry had a terrifyingly similar effect on intelligence gathering. It's an orchestra of chaos, and you are its conductors, turning a silent forest into a symphony of impending invasion. The third act is radio deception, the art of spoof radio. Your radio operators are mimics, capable of imitating the unique sending style, the fist, of other units' operators. They create a web of phony radio traffic, broadcasting messages that suggest troop movements and plans that exist only in your carefully crafted script. They are actors on the airwaves, their performances meant to be intercepted by German intelligence, planting false information directly into the enemy's command structure. This is the multimedia arsenal you bring to the war. And now, in the bleak autumn of 1944, a directive has come down from 12th Corps headquarters. Patton is planning a major assault to finally encircle and capture Metz. His main thrust will come from the 90th Infantry Division, attacking north of the city. But to give them a fighting chance, he needs the Germans looking the other way. He needs them to believe the main attack is coming from somewhere else entirely. He needs them to move their reserves, to reposition their artillery, to fixate on a threat that isn't there. That phantom threat will be you. The mission is codenamed Operation Bettembourg. Your task is to impersonate two divisions, the 6th Armored Division and the 75th Infantry Division, and create the illusion of a massive buildup south of Metz, near the Luxembourg border. It's the ultimate test of your craft. Your success won't be measured in territory gained or enemies killed, which brings up the central mystery of your work that historians will debate for decades. How can you ever truly prove your impact? Your victories are ghosts themselves, the frantic messages in German radio intercepts, the frantic redeployment of a panzer unit to a quiet sector, the artillery barrage that falls on an empty field filled with your rubber decoys. You are about to mount your greatest performance on a stage of mud and fear for the most critical audience in the world. The order, when it comes, is not a rousing speech shouted over the din of engines, but a series of dry communiques passed down through the chain of command and landing on the map table in your makeshift command post, a chilly, stone-floored room in a requisitioned French farmhouse. The air is thick with the smell of damp wool, kerosene from the lamps, and the faint, acidic scent of developing fluid from the photo reconnaissance prints pinned to the wall. Operation Bettembourg. The name itself is mundane, forgettable, which is entirely the point. The map spread before you shows the winding path of the Moselle River, the dense blob of the Forêt de Königsmarke, and the formidable ring of forts around Metz. Your target area is a stretch of rolling countryside to the south, a place of quiet farms and sleepy villages that you are about to turn into the most active and most fictional military sector in all of Europe. The architect of this grand illusion is your commanding officer, Colonel Harry L. Reeder, a man who understands that deception is not about a single clever trick, but about creating an entirely believable, alternate reality. His directives, passed down to your company commanders, emphasize a philosophy of total immersion. You aren't just putting on a show for the enemy. For the next several days, you are the 6th Armored Division. You must think like them, act like them, and even make the same mistakes they would. Every action you take, from the placement of a single inflatable jeep to the timing of a radio broadcast, must fit into a larger, meticulously crafted narrative. The story you are writing for the German intelligence analysts of the First Army is one of a methodical, overwhelming build-up. A steel fist being clenched just out of sight, preparing to deliver a knockout blow from the south. Your first task is to assemble the cast and props. Your unit's trucks, hidden under camouflage nets in a nearby wood, are a traveling circus of war materiel. Opening the canvas flaps, you are greeted by the distinct, slightly sweet smell of vulcanized rubber. Here lie the sleeping giants of your phantom army. You and 3 other men haul out a heavy canvas bag. Unrolled, it becomes the deflated skin of an M4 Sherman tank, weighing a mere 90 pounds. It's an absurdly flimsy object to be impersonating a 30-ton engine of destruction. This is where the lesser-known details of your arsenal come into play. It isn't just tanks. You have a whole catalog of inflatable war machines. There are the snub-nosed M7 Priest self-propelled guns, the long, menacing barrels of the 155mm Long Tom artillery pieces, even quarter-ton jeeps and L5 Sentinel observation planes. Each is a masterpiece of rubber engineering, designed to be inflated in minutes by a portable air compressor, creating a convincing silhouette from the sky. This brings you to the core artistic and tactical challenge of your mission, a subject of constant, low-key debate among your fellow soldiers. How real is too real? An enemy reconnaissance pilot flying at 10,000 feet will see the shape, the shadow, and the general layout and report an armored column. That's a victory. But a local French collaborator, a spy on the ground, could walk right up to one of your tanks, give it a kick, and watch it wobble like a children's toy. The entire ruse would be exposed, so you must perform a delicate balancing act. You position your decoys in woods and behind hillsides, just as a real unit would, but you intentionally leave some partially exposed. You use a bulldozer to carve fake tracks into the mud, leading to and from the bivouac area, but you make sure the tracks look a little too perfect, a little too clean. You are courting the enemy's attention, inviting them to look, but not too closely. One of your favorite tricks, one that always brings a slight smile to your face, is what you call staged carelessness. A real armored division is a sprawling, messy affair, so you add touches of artificial life. A few real trucks are parked amongst the rubble. With the visual script in hand, you turn to the soundscape. You sit with the men of the signal company, their half-tracks loaded with massive speakers and turntables wired to wire recorders. They are the Foley artists of this production. Your script doesn't just say, "Play tank sounds." It is a minute-by-minute acoustic timeline. From 2200 to 0400, you will broadcast the sounds of an armored column arriving, the squeal of treads on asphalt, the low rumble of hundreds of engines, the muffled clank of equipment, the distant shouts of officers. During the day, the sounds will change to those of a unit digging in. The growl of bulldozers, the hammering of engineers, the intermittent roar of a motorcycle courier. You are creating a living, breathing soundscape of a 30,000-man force. The speakers are strategically placed, their direction and volume constantly adjusted to mimic the way sound travels across hills and through forests. You can make a single half-track sound like an entire battalion moving through a valley 3 miles away. It's an eerie, godlike power, painting a picture of war on a canvas of silence. The final and perhaps most crucial layer is the radio deception. As the real 6th Armored Division prepares for the actual offensive north of Metz, they have gone into total radio silence. Their absence from the airwaves would be a massive red flag to German eavesdroppers. Your job is to fill that silence. Your radio operators, the mimics of the airwaves, have their orders. They will activate their networks using the precise call signs and frequencies of the 6th Armored. They will broadcast hundreds of messages, phony requests for fuel, reports on road conditions, arguments between supply sergeants, even GIs complaining about the food. It's all carefully scripted gibberish, designed to create the illusion of a division settling into a new forward position. Your operators have spent weeks studying the captured fist of the real 6th Armored operators, their unique cadence and rhythm in tapping out Morse code. Now, you will become their electronic ghosts, ensuring that from the perspective of German radio intelligence, the 6th Armored is exactly where you want. The sun bleeds out across the western horizon, painting the bruised purple clouds in shades of rust and orange. For the real armies, this is a time of consolidation, of digging in for the night. For you, it is curtain time. The generators for the Klieg lights of your theater are the low-thrumming engines of your convoy of 2.5-ton trucks rolling out from hidden depots under the deepening cover of dusk. You move without headlights, a dark serpent winding its way along cratered country roads, guided only by the faint silhouette of the truck ahead. The mood inside the canvas-covered truck bed is one of quiet, focused tension. There is no bravado, no loud talk. You are not an invasion force. You are ghosts, and your work is done in silence. Your destination is a carefully selected stretch of terrain, a patchwork of fields, woods, and small streams just south of the main German defensive line at Metz. It is your stage. When the trucks finally halt, the command is a whispered word passed from man to man. You leap over the tailgate, your boots sinking into the cold, soft earth. The air is sharp and carries the scent of decaying leaves. For a moment, there is only the sound of the wind in the trees and the distant, percussive cough of artillery miles to the north. Then, your work begins. Your 4-man team is a well-oiled machine. 2 men unroll the heavy, rubberized canvas that is the skin of an M4 Sherman tank, while another primes the small, gasoline-powered air compressor. Its sudden chugging roar feels like a betrayal of the quiet, a sound you are certain the entire German army must hear. You know this is irrational. The front line is a cacophony of noise, and your small engine is just one more anonymous sound in the night. Still, your muscles tense. You hold the nozzle and begin to pump air into the beast. It's a bizarre and almost comical process. The turret inflates first, wobbling unsteadily. Then the gun barrel, initially floppy and pathetic, slowly stiffens to a menacing rigidity. The hull swells, the rubber groaning as it stretches and pulls taut against its internal ribs. In less than 20 minutes, the man working beside you, meticulously applying streaks of mud to the turret to simulate battlefield grime, has an unusually keen eye for form and shadow. You know him as Sergeant Blass. He's a good soldier, quiet and efficient. What you don't know, what no one could possibly know, is that after this war of mud and deception, he will return to New York and become Bill Blass, a world-renowned icon of high fashion, his name synonymous with elegant design. It's a truly astonishing, lesser-known fact of this secret war. A future titan of the runway is spending his nights here, designing the camouflage for a phantom army. He treats the rubber tank not as a piece of military hardware, but as a design challenge. "The light will catch this ridge at dawn," he might murmur, more to himself than to you. "We need to break up the line here." Under his guidance, you drape camouflage nets not uniformly, but with a studied, artistic messiness. You attach real foliage, carefully chosen to match the surrounding woods, ensuring it will look natural to the prying lens of a reconnaissance camera. This process is repeated all around you. The night is filled with the hiss of compressors and the low grunts of men wrestling with the awkward, heavy decoys. You are not just placing objects, you are crafting a narrative of carelessness. A real armored unit, especially one that has been on the move, is never perfectly concealed. So you build imperfection into your design. You position one rubber tank at an angle, as if it hastily pulled off the road for cover. Another is placed near a small tent, where you've left an empty crate of K-rations and a discarded newspaper. You use one of your few real jeeps to drive back and forth, carving deep, convincing ruts in the earth around the inflatable motor pool. Every detail is a lie, designed to reinforce the larger truth you are selling. This meticulous staging is what separates your work from simple decoys. You are creating an atmosphere. All the while, you are acutely aware of your own vulnerability. The gentle hills that make this area a good stage also make it an easy target. The German lines are only a few miles away. You can see the faint, intermittent flashes of their artillery on the horizon, followed seconds later by the deep, guttural crump that you feel in your chest. You carry an M1 rifle, but you are not infantry. You have no bazookas, no machine guns, no mortars. Your primary defense is the hope that the enemy believes you are something you are not. This is the psychological mystery of your service, living in a constant state of high alert while armed with little more than an air pump and a spray gun. The fear is a cold knot in your stomach, but it is overshadowed by a fierce, professional pride. You are engaged in the highest stakes art project in history, and the lives of the men in the 90th Division depend on your success. Over several nights, the illusion grows. What began as a handful of rubber tanks blossoms into the encampment of an entire armored division. You create a phony headquarters marked by a tall radio mast, a simple pole with wires leading nowhere, but a magnet for enemy intelligence. You assemble a battery of inflatable 155mm guns in a clearing, their barrels pointing menacingly toward Metz. In a nearby field, you even place a squadron of rubber L5 observation planes, as if an airfield has been hastily established. You use smoke pots to create the hazy columns of mess hall cook fires at dawn and dusk. By the time your work is done, you have materialized over 600 vehicles, a force of staggering power that exists only as rubber, air, and imagination. At first light, you withdraw to a hidden observation post on a nearby ridge. The night's work is done. You look out over the valley at the sprawling, silent army you have created. From here, it is perfect. It is real. The stage is set. The sun climbs higher, a pale disk in the grey Lorraine sky, and your creation lies spread across the valley below you. It is a perfect, silent tableau, a sleeping army. But an army is never silent. An army is a living, breathing, noisy beast. From your observation post, you raise a field radio to your lips. You don't speak a command for an attack or a retreat. Your order is an altogether different kind of directive, more akin to a stage manager's cue. Bring up the morning program. Miles away, hidden in a densely wooded ravine, the crew of a signal company half-track receives your message. They nod, and a switch is thrown. The performance truly begins. It doesn't start with a roar, but with a whisper, a subtle, layered awakening. From the valley below, a new sound drifts up to you, faint at first, then growing in clarity. It is the sound of a few heavy truck engines coughing to life, followed by the metallic clatter of a motor pool coming to life. A moment later, another sound joins it, seemingly from a different location a half-mile away. The unmistakable rumble of a Sherman tank's radial engine turning over for morning maintenance. You lower your binoculars and smile. The illusion of life has begun. Your static stage set is now animated, imbued with the breath of sound. This is the domain of the sonic troops, the masters of auditory warfare. Their primary instrument is a specially equipped M3 half-track, its rear compartment stripped out and replaced with a powerful amplifier and a pair of massive speakers stacked in a directional horn. The sound source itself is a marvel of 1940s technology and a fascinating, lesser-known fact of your operation. The sounds weren't recorded on fragile phonograph records, but on state-of-the-art wire recorders, devices that captured audio on a thin, magnetizable steel wire. The original recordings were made with immense care back at Fort Knox, capturing every nuance of military life. Audio engineers, some of them poached from Bell Labs and Hollywood's top sound studios, then edited these recordings into meticulously crafted programs. These are not simple loops, they are complex audio narratives. You have access to a whole library of them, each labeled with a specific purpose. Your job is to be the conductor of this symphony of lies. Throughout the day, you follow a strict sonic script. At 0900 hours, you cue the bridge-building program. From a location near the Small Sail River, the sounds of heavy equipment, hammering, and shouted engineering commands begin to echo across the water, perfectly positioned to make any German listening post believe a new crossing is being prepared. An hour later, you switch the focus, the sounds of an artillery battery registering its guns, the loud report of the cannon, the distant crump of the shell, and the radio chatter of a forward observer calling in adjustments emanate from the clearing where you so carefully placed your rubber 155mm guns the night before. You are layering sensory input for the enemy. If a reconnaissance plane flies over, the pilot's report of seeing the guns will now be corroborated by ground reports of hearing them in action. As day turns to dusk, you shift to the electronic battlefield. You make your way to the radio deception trucks, tucked away even deeper in the forest. The air inside is warm and smells of hot vacuum tubes and stale coffee. Here, in the cramped, dimly lit space, the radio mimics are at work, their faces illuminated by the green glow of their equipment. These men are the true actors of the Ghost Army. Their performance is for an audience of one, the German Radio Intercept Service. Their task is to flawlessly impersonate the radio networks of the real 6th Armored Division, which is now moving under strict radio silence miles to the north. The art of spoof radio is far more than just using the right call signs. Your operators have been trained to replicate the unique rhythm, the fist, of individual Morse code operators from the actual division. They know that Sergeant Miller in the 15th Tank Battalion has a slightly heavy-handed style, while Corporal Rossi in the 68th is faster and lighter. They replicate these human signatures perfectly. They also know the unofficial slang, the procedural shortcuts, and the common gossip of the unit they are impersonating. You listen as one of your operators carries on a mundane, scripted conversation about a delayed shipment of winter boots, his performance utterly convincing. You even broadcast a fake argument between two supply sergeants. This brings you to the central, debated mystery of your work. What is the enemy thinking? You can only imagine the picture being assembled in some German command bunker. The aerial photos show tanks. The frontline listening posts report the sounds of a massive force digging in. And now, their own trusted radio intercepts confirm that the 6th Armored Division's entire command net is active and chattering away in this very sector. Each piece of evidence on its own might be dismissed as a possible trick, but together, the visual, sonic, and radio data are woven into a single, cohesive, and overwhelming narrative. You are not just fooling their senses, you are attacking their analytical process, forcing them to dedicate intelligence assets and command attention to a ghost. The weight of the combined evidence becomes too great to ignore. The performance is relentless, a 24-hour affair. As night falls, the sonic script changes. The daytime sounds of construction and maintenance are replaced by the nocturnal sounds of an army preparing for battle. The rumble of tank columns moving up to forward assembly areas under the cover of darkness, the hushed commands of patrol leaders, the endless, grinding noise of supply trucks. You work in shifts, poring over the map, timing the next sonic cue, monitoring the radio chatter, fueled by adrenaline and the knowledge that every sound you broadcast, every fake message you send, is helping to shape the battlefield. You are a ghost, conducting an army of ghosts, and deep in the night, you know the enemy is listening. For several days and nights, your world has been a cycle of performance and observation. You have conducted your orchestra of phantom sounds, curated your museum of rubber tanks, and filled the airwaves with the scripted chatter of a non-existent army. The work has been meticulous, exhausting, and carried out in a vacuum of feedback. You have thrown your elaborate lies into the void, and now you can only wait and listen for an echo. The tension in your command post is thick enough to taste. Every crackle from the intelligence radio, every message brought by a courier could be the one that tells you if your grand deception is a triumph or a failure. You are an actor who cannot see his audience, a painter who cannot know if his masterpiece is admired or ignored. Then, the first echo arrives. It comes not as a thunderous explosion, but as a flimsy piece of paper handed to you in the pre-dawn gloom. It's a transcript from Ultra, the top-secret program decoding high-level German communications. You scan the words, your heart thumping against your ribs. A German reconnaissance flight, Fokker Wolf 189 Flying Eye, has reported a significant armored assembly in your exact location. The report notes vehicle types and dispositions that correspond perfectly to the rubber decoys you so carefully arranged. A slow, triumphant smile spreads across your face. It's the first tangible proof. They are looking. They see what you want them to see. The echoes begin to multiply. A frontline intercept from a German infantry unit reports hearing heavy engineering activity near the Saale River. The exact time and place you were broadcasting your pontoon bridge construction program. German radio intelligence confirms that the call signs of the 6th Armored Division are loud and clear, dominating the airwaves in the southern sector. It is a surreal experience, seeing your own fiction being reported back to you as enemy fact. The pieces of the puzzle you so carefully crafted are being assembled in the mind of the German First Army's commander, General Otto von Knobelsdorff. You are painting a picture for him, and he is beginning to believe it. The illusion is so powerful, in fact, that it momentarily fools your own side, a lesser-known testament to your unit's skill. On the night of November 8th, the true purpose of your elaborate show is realized. A new sound enters the world, a sound that is not on any of your wire recordings. It is a deep, continuous, earth-shaking roar that comes from far to the north. It is the sound of more than a dozen artillery battalions, over 200 guns, opening fire simultaneously. It is the authentic sound of war, and it signals that General Patton's real offensive has begun. The 90th Infantry Division is launching its surprise assault across the Moselle River, north of Metz, aiming to outflank and encircle the fortress city. Everything you have done for the past week has been for this moment.
The deception was
now,
a complete
the
success.
historical debate begins to unfold in real time. In the German command bunker, panic and confusion reign. General von Knobelsdorff is being hammered by a major assault in the north, where he is weakest, yet all his intelligence for the past week has pointed to an imminent, powerful threat from the south. Your Phantom Army is now a major factor in his strategic calculations. Does he ignore the southern threat and rush his reserves, including the formidable 21st Panzer Division, north to crush the 90th Division's bridgehead? Or does he hedge his bets, holding those vital armored units in reserve to counter the southern attack he has been led to believe is coming? The intelligence intercepts you receive over the next critical hours tell the story. German communications are frantic, orders are given, countermanded, and reissued. While some units are eventually shifted north, the reaction is hesitant and piecemeal. Key armored and infantry reserves are held in place, their commanders paralyzed by the need to defend against your ghost. They are looking over their shoulders, waiting for a second punch that will never land. That hesitation is your victory. It is the crucial window of opportunity the 90th Division needs. Their assault across the Moselle is a brutal, bloody affair. A swift, full-strength German counterattack could have annihilated them on the beaches, but the counterattack that comes is sluggish and under strength, its teeth pulled by your phantom threat miles away. By the time the German command realizes the southern threat is a ruse, it is the news of the 90th Division's successful crossing and secured bridgehead arrives not with a triumphant roar, but as a series of calm, factual reports over the radio. Your objective is complete. A deep, collective sigh of relief seems to pass through your entire unit. There is no victory parade, no cheering, only a quiet, profound satisfaction in a job well done. But your mission is not yet over. Perhaps the most critical part of any magical illusion is the vanishing act. Now, you must erase yourselves from the landscape, leaving behind nothing but confusion and an empty field. The traveling roadshow, having finished its command performance, must pack up its tents and props and slip away into the night. The process is a melancholy reversal of your arrival. You move back into the valley under the same cloak of darkness that once concealed your setup. The chugging of the air compressors is replaced by the long, sad hiss of deflation. You watch as the proud, menacing forms of Sherman tanks and long-tom cannons sag, wrinkle, and collapse in on themselves. They lose their shape, their power, their illusion of life, and become once again what they truly are. Heaps of folded rubber and canvas. You and your comrades work with the same quiet efficiency as before, but the tense energy is gone, replaced by a weary determination. The great beasts of war are put back into their bags. The speakers are disconnected, the wires are coiled, and the sonic trucks are prepared to move out. You are meticulous in your cleanup. This is not just about retrieving your equipment, it is about sanitizing the stage. You use branches to brush away the fake tank tracks you so carefully carved into the mud. You collect every stray K-ration box, every dummy ammunition crate, every scrap of evidence that would suggest an army was ever here. You leave the landscape as you found it, save for the lingering imprint in the grass where a rubber tank once stood. It's a strange feeling to have poured so much artistry and effort into creating a powerful presence, only to then methodically erase it all. You are ghosts, and ghosts by their very nature leave no trace. As the first hint of dawn touches the sky, your convoy rolls out, leaving behind. Your work at Metz, however, was just one performance in a long tour. Operation Bettembourg was followed by other, even more ambitious deceptions. You would go on to participate in more than 20 such operations. The final, and perhaps most audacious, was Operation Viersen in March 1945, where your small unit of 1,100 men successfully impersonated 2 entire divisions. numbering over 30,000, drawing German reserves to the wrong bank of the Rhine River while the real Ninth Army crossed unopposed. You held a 10-mile stretch of the front line for over a week, using your full arsenal of tricks to convince the enemy you were a force 30 times your actual size. When the war finally ends, your unit is quietly deactivated. The official records are stamped top secret and buried deep within the archives of the Pentagon. You and every man in the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops are sworn to absolute secrecy, an oath you would hold for nearly half a century. You return to civilian life, carrying the knowledge of your incredible story locked away. This begins the long, silent chapter of your legacy and the heart of the historical debate over your true impact. Because your victories were measured in enemy mistakes and battles that were less costly than they could have been, your contribution was nearly impossible to quantify. You couldn't tell your families, you couldn't tell historians, you couldn't even tell your fellow veterans at the local VFW hall. You lived with the quiet burden of knowing you had helped shape the course of the war in a fundamental way, but with no way to prove it or receive recognition. The creative energy that you and your comrades channeled into the art of war was then released back into the world. It's a remarkable, lesser-known fact that the alumni of the Ghost Army went on to have a profound impact on American art and culture. Bill Blass became a fashion legend. Ellsworth Kelly emerged as one of the century's most important abstract painters and sculptors. Arthur Singer became a world-renowned wildlife artist, his paintings of birds gracing countless books. Art Kane revolutionized fashion photography. This incredible flowering of post-war talent had its roots in the muddy fields of France, where these men first learned to manipulate perception and shape reality on a grand scale. It wasn't until 1996 that the mission of the Ghost Army was finally declassified. The secrets could at last be told. For the surviving veterans, then in their 70s and 80s, it was a moment of profound validation. Their stories, once confined to the shadows, could finally be brought into the light. Their contributions, long absent from the official histories of World War II, were at last acknowledged, culminating in the recent, long overdue awarding of the Congressional Gold Medal. Your war was different from any other. You fought not on the beaches or in the hedgerows, but on the invisible battlefield of the human mind. You proved that a well-placed whisper could be more effective than a machine gun, and that the greatest weapon in the arsenal of democracy was, perhaps, the power of imagination. The story of the Ghost Army is more than just a clever wartime anecdote. It is a profound reminder of the fluid nature of reality itself. Their stage was the scarred landscape of Europe, their audience a wary and battle-hardened enemy, and their script was a complex tapestry of lies designed to save the lives of their friends. As you step back from this history, the sounds of the phantom tanks fade, and the hiss of the air compressors recedes into the quiet of the past. You are left with the silence of an empty field at dawn, a place where a phantom army once stood, its purpose fulfilled, its presence erased. This chapter of warfare, fought with artistry and intellect, serves as a quiet testament to the idea that the perception of power can be as influential as power itself. The soldiers of the 23rd were masters of this ephemeral truth, ghosts who shaped history and then vanished, leaving behind only the enduring legacy of their ingenuity and the victories they helped secure. They remind us even now that what we see, what we hear, and what we believe to be true is often just the most convincing story being told.